All right, with us now is defense attorney Misty Marris. Let's talk about why this is precedent-setting. Yes, it's the parents of a mass shooter, but from a legal standpoint, what's the issue here? I don't want to oversimplify. They're on trial for something in a way they didn't do rather than something they affirmatively did, correct?
Exactly. That's why this is a very novel legal theory. This case is seeking to hold Jennifer and James Crumbley responsible for the acts of Ethan, involuntary manslaughter. What does that mean? It's based on both acts and omissions. Their failure to provide him with mental health services, their failure to intervene. The standard is that there was a willful disregard for information that they knew or should have known that he was dangerous, that he had a propensity for violence, and their failures to take action on that front. It's a very different legal theory than we've seen in the past relating to parents being held responsible for the acts of their kids. Usually it's a reckless endangerment charge. They're not being held responsible for the actual deaths. Child neglect. Those are the legal theories we've seen before. But to hold them responsible for the actual deaths of these four victims, that is a very, very different legal theory from the legal perspective.
What is the standard that prosecutors will need to prove? That they did know he was going to kill people, or they should have known?
It is willful disregard. That is the standard. There's no allegation by prosecutors that either parent knew that Ethan was going to go to school that day, bring a gun, and shoot the school. It's all based upon what they should have known, and basically that they just turned a blind eye to all of these signs that he had a propensity for violence, and they didn't intervene. There's going to be a lot of scrutiny on that day. What unfolded? There's text messages between Jennifer and a friend. All of that is going to be really a big piece of this trial. Now, that's the prosecution's perspective. They're going to lay that out, especially since they met with the school officials, refused to take them out of school. And when you see that drawing, you can't help but say this is a red flag.
So in Gene's piece, we did hear the killer speaking, which was during his sentencing, that he said his parents didn't know and aren't responsible for this. Two questions. Can those words right there be used in this trial?
Yes, John, so you ask a great question, and I expect the defense to really focus on that. So a couple of things. The defense is going to say that there's a causal break because Ethan is the one who committed these acts. That's uncontested. And that because of that, that causation that's required under the statute, that Jennifer Crumbley is responsible, was cut off. In order to show that, they're going to focus on Ethan's own words. Now, her defense attorney said that they may call Ethan to testify. His attorneys are saying, we don't recommend that. We don't want that to happen because there may be a pending appeal and it could be problematic for his rights relating to that appeal. It would be incriminating. Whether or not he takes their advice, we don't know.
If he doesn't testify, can they submit those words that were part of his case into the trial?
It is likely that that would become a part of evidence of the trial, and that would be admissible.
All right, last question. The two parents, separate trials, perhaps separate interests, can they play off of each other?
Oftentimes you see this when you're talking about two individuals charged, that they'll be pointing the finger at each other. The cases against both are different, and that's why they asked for separate trials. Jennifer made that petition very early on. One of the issues, purchasing of the gun.
The father bought the gun.
And he also signed something that said, I know it's against the law for me to buy a gun for someone else. So that's another whole issue in his case. But it's going to really depend on the individual acts of each parent. So I wouldn't be surprised to see some finger pointing as this case unfolds.
All right, Misty Marris, this really truly is an important case. Thank you so much for explaining it so well.
Thank you.
Kate?